service. Before I begin, I want to thank all of us for spending the time to be here today. But Madam Speaker, I want to say to the families who are battling this virus, or to the families who have lost a loved one, if we would all pause to think about that. Not only did they lose a loved one, but they couldn't even be near them or with them in their time of need. I want them to know, from a Republican and Democrat side for the entire Congress, you are in our prayers and you will stay in our prayers. I also want to give a sincere thank you to all the essential workers on the front line of this crisis. Not from the Republican leader, but from a very grateful nation. For the medical professionals, from the doctors, the nurses, the receptionists, we thank you for going to work. We know the fear that it brings. We know the fear that it brings when you go home to your families. And we're grateful. To the farmers who make sure we have food grown in America that's safe. Or the truck drivers who drive through the night to replenish the stores that we walk in to keep our distance to have the food. The postal workers, the warehouse workers, the clerks inside those stores who every day go to work. You are making a meaningful and measurable difference in the lives of our entire nation. We will be forever grateful for those who kept us safe, kept us healthy, and kept us fed. You deserve a government that strives to meet that very same level of dedication. That is the promise I will make, that we will bring the same dedication that you bring to help others that you don't even know. And we should rise to that occasion. This is a commitment we make to every American. We will fight this virus together until we defeat it together. We did not ask for this virus. We did not invite it. It came from a distant land. But together, we will defeat it, not only for our country, but for the world. To do that, Congress must act. And we will continue to act even if some in this body want to play politics. Even if we get something held up, we will stay at the table till we bring people together. We want to put people before politics. Our entire effort will be bipartisan. After all, public health and a strong economy are not a Democrat or Republican issue. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, we watched the other side within our own Speaker of the House interject politics where it did not belong, into an oversight body of our necessary relief funds. Now, I want everybody to understand what the CARES Act did. The CARES Act that got held up for more than a week. Yes, at the end of the day, it changed from that one Sunday night. Kennedy Center and others got some more money. But it didn't change for what the work was going to be done for the people who needed it. Yes, some people, unfortunately, got laid off because it was delayed. It wasn't a bright moment for this body that week. But inside that CARES Act, not only did we provide resources, we provided accountability. You see, every single committee in Congress has an oversight. We have a committee just designed for oversight. But we wanted to make something to make sure it was bipartisan. So we created 3 new entities in the CARES Act just for oversight. The first is called the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee. It's made up of inspectors general, not Republicans or Democrats. They are independents and professional. The second is the Special Inspector General for the Pandemic Recovery. This individual is appointed by the President, confirmed by the Senate, and lasts for 5 years. And we gave $25 million to make sure they had the resources to make it happen. But that wasn't enough. We created a third one. Now, this one is the Congressional Oversight Commission with commissioners. The body is appointed by every single leader appoints one. On our side of the aisle, we appointed French Hill. Why? First, he's a statesman. He worked at the Treasury Department. He knows things backwards and forwards, so they can't ever fool French Hill. I was very excited when I heard on the other side of the aisle you appointed Donna Shalala. a former secretary of HHS. You see, this body won't be weighted by one side or the other. All four leaders, Republican and Democrat, appoint one, so it's equal. And then you know what happens for a chair? Mitch McConnell and Speaker Pelosi decide who to become the chair. I think the American public says that's right. But they don't go and hide inside a corner. They literally report to Congress every 30 days. I was proud of that accomplishment. That's what America expects for us. No politics. Put the very best on there and report back. But today, when we come back because it was delayed, to give small business the resources it takes to keep people employed, no, we added a little politics to the game. You see, today we'll vote on a new oversight committee. Will it be equal? Will it be the same number of Republicans and Democrats like the congressional one? No. Will it be the same when it comes to the inspector generals where it won't care about politics? No, sad to say not. You see, this committee will be the only committee weighted politically. There will be 7 Democrats and 5 Republicans. This committee was announced before they even told you the mission of what this committee should do. They even announced the chair of the committee. Now, I respect the chair greatly, Madam Speaker. He has one of the best political minds I know. Joe Biden will tell you that. You see, our dear friend, Congressman Clyburn, he should be credited with getting Joe Biden the nomination. While he failed in all the other states, South Carolina was critical. He did politics very well in the endorsement. He turned the tide of the Democrat nomination. And you will have a nominee, and a lot of that will go to Jim Clyburn. And he deserves the credit politically for what he was able to accomplish. We do not question his political abilities. He's the majority whip. He knows how to gather votes. He knows how to make the political argument. But, Madam Speaker, this is the same individual who said that the pandemic presented the perfect opportunity to restructure things to fit our own vision. I do not question his appointment. I wonder why this committee. If that was his view, why wasn't he put on the congressional oversight that was equal with the number of Republicans and number of Democrats? The public does not want to see politics. Why would we waste our time bringing people back to create a political committee? I guess the vote will tell us differently. It's interesting to know why we are here. At 8:30 today, we actually found the reason. 4.4 million more reasons why we're here. How many of those 4.4 million would not have gotten a pink slip last week? Had we listened more than 2 weeks ago on April 7th when we said the program we created that was so successful, that was able to do the number of loans in 14 days that it took the SBA to do in 14 years. That there was such a need out there that maybe we would overcome politics for that one moment. Could it be too much to read that it was one simple page? I thought there was a moment in time it would happen. I thought we could say yes on a unanimous consent. This is a program we all had just voted for in Shirley just 2 weeks before. Yes, that was tough to get that bill through. Yes, we had to have it held up on the other side. That was wrong, that other millions were laid off. But this was the moment to learn from that mistake on the other side before. We did not learn. It was played again. To those 4.4 million Americans that were laid off this week, Congress owes you an apology. You did not have to have that happen. To the small business owner, I understand this greatly. At age 20, I created my first business. I know where you make these decisions. You make these decisions on the kitchen table. If you ever had a small business, you realize you're the first to work, you're the last to leave, and you're the last to be paid. You know those who work with you are not just employees, they are your family. You know their children's name, you're there at their weddings, you're there when they graduate, and you're proud of them. You never want to have to say you're going to lay them off. You put everything into your business to succeed, and government told them they had to shut down for the health of the nation. They made a sacrifice, but they got sacrificed for politics last week. Shame on this body. I've listened to this debate thoroughly. I've listened to the other side. When you look at what we accomplished in those 14 days alone, we saved 30 million jobs. We all could have put a tweet out today, not having to be in here, and say we saved 34 million jobs. But no, 4 million more lost because somehow people felt good with politics. I listened to the debate on the other side. Some actually said they don't want to be here today. We shouldn't have folded and actually came together. We should have used leverage even further. Use that political leverage to hold people up. I've even seen some people on the other side of the aisle say they love to see it when the price of oil dropped when no one has seen it before. And the idea that millions in our energy industry are going to get laid off too. It doesn't matter about politics. There'll be Republican, Democrat, both that get laid off. Then I listen as we come back here, Madam Speaker, and I tried to listen to the other side. I tried to understand. Why would you hold it up? What's different? I listened to the debates. I listened to the leadership talk. It was amazing to me. In listening to it, the only thing I could think, what Shakespeare would say, the Lady Death protests too much, methink. If you have to explain as hard as you can and spin with as much political might as you can why you laid 4.4 million people off because you felt better to tell Mitch McConnell in a program that put out and saved 30 million jobs that you were going to hold it up to prove a point, that's not what I would want to hear in history. Madam Speaker, as I said earlier, it is our responsibility to act, to put our differences aside and do what's right for the American public. Now more than ever, the American people deserve a Congress that acts with leadership, dedication, and resilience. Anything we do in this chamber that deals with COVID should be bipartisan, from legislation to deliberation to voting. Yeah, I stayed up to 2 a.m. to see what the majority wanted to put forward. We all work hard to get here. We all almost have about the same size districts because every 10 years we take a census to figure that out. And our constituents make a decision every 2 years to lend their voice to the person they want to represent them. They did not lend their voice to give that proxy to somebody else they cannot hold accountable. They did not lend that voice to wait till 2 a.m. to change more than 200 years of history because somebody wanted to have more power in the job of a majority themselves. We're living in one of the greatest turning points in history. This is not a time for indifference, selfishness, or division. We're going to help America get through this. We're going to do this together. And in the end, we are going to be stronger, healthier, and more united than ever before. Why? Because we are Americans, and that's who we are. This body will raise debates. This body plays politics many times. But now is not the moment for politics. Now is not the moment to say, let's hold something up even if somebody is going to be punished. Because somehow I will get a political advantage. And when people come together, the question should not be, let's hold more leverage. Because it's okay, because when we come to the floor, we'll spin it and say it was not us. But when we're long gone, history will write about this day. They'll write about that day on April 7th, when America witnessed something they've never seen before, and one stood before a chamber in the Senate and requested to add exactly what we're doing today to a program to keep people hired in all the places we know and love in our neighborhood. And one party sent two people in the middle of COVID onto the floor to raise a simple hand to say they object. That was the only thing holding the money up between the American public and those 4.4 million who unfortunately went to a different job today, the unemployment line. I don't know how anybody could be proud of that. But Madam Speaker, I'm always an optimist. I know what's been before us. I know the challenge. Today, we're going to display to the American public that we can work. Just as those truck drivers, those medical professionals, the checker at my local Vons, or the paramedic who comes when the call is requested. They are essential. I think it's essential to this country to show we can do our job, not in a partisan way. So when the moment comes, you'll have two votes. You've already voted, all of us here into chambers, to add 3 more committees that are bipartisan for the accountability of this money going forward. The country is asking you to keep that together. So you'll have a choice. Now you could cast a new vote to put in something partisan that we've never seen before, with an individual who is one of the best political minds around, who believes that this virus is more about restructuring government in their view than solving a problem. Then you're going to have another vote. A vote to continue the funding that we already asked more than 2 weeks ago. Can we this time, after twice holding up money for American public, I just ask all in this chambers to learn from this. Let's not hold up again our ability to help and work in a bipartisan manner to not only open this chamber, work for the American public, and solve this problem once and for all. I yield back.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.